Connor, I'm gonna jump in here and do this because I don't want you to take this from me because I have told you multiple weeks that your favorite club is on fraud watch and I'm keeping them there.
You're on fraud watch.
Atlanta United is completely on fraud watch. What do they have? $40 million invested in their attack, and they've got less
It's
goals
insane.
than yeah, and they've got less goals scored than the Chicago Triple Gs. Like, what are we doing here? You know? And listen, they've also conceded an insane number as well, which is a different story, but they're currently sitting outside the playoff spot heading into the middle of April. I've said it before. I don't think it's crazy to say that Ronnie Dyla might be on the hot seat very, very soon if he isn't there already. They aren't getting the results they paid for, and it starts with the coach. He's not getting the most out of them. We've seen teams, and this might not be a completely fair comparison, but we've seen teams like the Galaxy last year who had three center backs on roster at the start of the year, 35 and older, and they ran through the league because their attack was so good they didn't have to worry about them. Right now, you've got all this attack in Atlanta, and it's just not paying out. Now, again, I'm not saying it's like for like. You don't have a Ricky Pooge taking 800 touches a game, but it's a worry that you have that much money invested. You're not doing what you're expected to do. And I understand injuries are there, so I'll give you a little bit of a break there. And I think you're going to give Ronnie Dyla one window to either bring in reinforcements or say, okay, you've got enough time to get everybody healthy, figure it out. But if they don't have anything figured out, I think there's a problem because at this point, with the money that they've put in, they're basically just the Southern Toronto FC, spending a lot of money on attackers and getting nothing out of it.
I knew you were gonna go with this take. I
Yeah,
knew
you
it.
better.
And I'll just like last week, it is Ludacris featuring Pitbull. It's insane. Like, how do you come to the conclusion that Ronnie Dyla is almost on the hot seat because we're 7 games into the season and the team hasn't got it clicking yet? Like, they need a little bit of time to figure it out. None of these guys have played together. Majority of them haven't really even played in the league. I know Almiron did, but he played in the league like 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's like a whole new league now at this point. Latte Latta's never played here before. Like, they got to figure out how to play with one another. They got to figure out like where on the field is the best place for them to play. I think they're gonna figure it out in the attack. It's not like they haven't scored goals. They've got 11. That's pretty, like, I know it's a lot of money they spent, but that's pretty run of the mill so far. I knew the defense was going to be an issue. That's why I knocked them down in my standings a bit because they just ran it back with the same defense they had last year, which was not a good defense. And now you've got 1 year older Brad Guzan in goal, who's gonna like be 45 by before the time they finally decide to move him out of net. So it's like, at least for me, maybe it was just because I'm a pessimistic fan, but I knew it was gonna be some struggle. Like, it wasn't just gonna be flying off the rails like right at the start, just because they dropped a lot of money on a striker and bringing back Almiron. But I think the team needs more time to kind of get things figured out. I don't think we could be saying 7 games into the season of bringing all these new guys in that like the coach should be worried about his job if he doesn't get things sorted out in the next like couple games.
Fraud watch.
Th- Connor, this is where you're living up to your last name, actually, because I agree with you. They are disappointing so far, but look, Pineda lasted there longer than he should have, so I don't think Dahlia is actually on any sort of hot seat at all. So I think he'll have his time. Now it depends on how it all goes. I think he would have until next summer, really, at probably the earliest, before they get rid of him, just to give him a full season, and then start of the next season. And if it starts out really bad, but I mean, like they're only 3 points off of like where Orlando is currently, and 11 goals is pretty good. I just worry about the defense would be my main thing, giving up 12. But I think once this team gets clicking, they'll be. I had them picked for MLS Cup, so I'm still holding out hope that I'm right. But we'll see. I want to be able to get something predicted right.
I'll tell you that Pineda lasted because he had Carlos Bocanegra, who was afraid to do anything to say that, oh, I messed this one up. I don't think Garth is going to sit there and say, yep, we're going to give you all the time in the world. If you're putting money into it and it's got Garth Lagerwey's name tied to it, I think that you're going to see a little bit more fire under the seat, personally.
I think it'd be really harsh. I think that would be really harsh.
As an Orlando City fan, I would say that anything I say negatively against Atlanta United or through my purple colored glasses, I'm just going to stay quiet in the Atlanta United argument. No, but in all honesty, like I do feel like usually you give a manager, I'd imagine, two transfer windows to see what they can do. And Ronnie Deila, I mean, let's not forget Ronnie Deila was took an NYCFC team that I think was not as good on paper and did things with them that I'm not sure many other managers could have done. I always thought Ronnie was a great manager, and I think Garth Lagerwey, he's going to keep investing money, and that's what makes Atlanta so scary. Like being an Orlando City fan, we know it's coming. We know there's a big punch coming. We already have the problem in the south of Florida. We don't need the problem in the middle of Georgia either. We're already glad Joseph is in the Western Conference. Let's keep some goal scorers away from Atlanta United. But again, I like Jordan said, I'd be more concerned defensively because I'm afraid that this, and they've shown it, this attacking front can be very, very dangerous with Latte Lath.
I mean,
Yeah.
New York City Mickey Mouse Cup, but other than that, sorry,
Yeah.
Connor, you were saying.
No, I'll agree with the Mickey Mouse Cup. That should
Heck
have been
yeah.
that should have been Philly's Cup, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, no, I agree. They need to figure out the defense. It's the way they have it right now. It's just not going to work. I mean, you have like the defensive midfielders that they've brought in have not been good enough to help the disaster mess that they have in the defense. And both wing backs are very attacking wing backs, and then you're just left with Derek Williams and Stian Gregerson trying to fight for their lives in front of 40, I don't know, 8-year-old. I'm just gonna keep adding years every time I mention his name. 48-year-old Brad Guzan in goal. So they need some work in the summer if they're gonna get this thing sorted out. But I still have faith that they can get the ship in the right direction.
My only worry, and I know we taken this very, very egregiously, right? But my only real worry is I don't see him getting the best out of these players. And this is Ronnie Dyla now. Bartosz Szlisz looks like a USL player. I've watched him a couple of times now, and he looks really poor, which he didn't look under Pineda. And I don't know if that's just maybe he looked better in a different system, but he's been one of the players I'm like, who is this guy? How did he get here? Um, and then you've got these other players, and I understand like Amador and Lennon are coming back, and that's going to add another level, no doubt. But the players who replace him, like Matty Edwards, playing on that right back spot, I thought he looked good, but he wasn't the best that he could have been, right? And I think there's room for him to grow and things like that. But when you look at the fullbacks that they've produced so far, right? Brooks Lennon is one of them, of course, but Caleb Wiley, who's now transferred over to Chelsea and has been loaned out probably 7,400 times by now. I haven't kept count, but that's par for the Chelsea.
That was accurate.
Yeah, I agree. When you look at those sorts of levels, you would expect kind of that being the mold of what they expect out of them. And I'm just taking two off the top of my head, but it feels like there are certain players that he either hasn't helped progress yet. And again, I understand, Connor, I know you're about to say it's been 7 games. I get it. But I feel like there are players who have regressed under him as well, right? Bartosz Szlisz being the main character there. So just my 2 cents.
Now, when you say Sleece is playing like a USL player, do you mean a USL D1 player or a
whichever one he
Championship?
ends up in, I guess. I like that. We just had a whole nice conversation about that. We'll dive into that here probably 74 years from now because I can't talk about it anymore. Do we have any others we want to throw out there before we keep going down the Atlanta train? Because I could all day if you want, Connor. I could do it.
Listen, you keep going down the train. I will keep defending them because I think you're out of your mind for it. But
you're the meme of the soldier standing with all the arrows in the back.
yeah,
that's just Atlanta underneath
me
you.
defending the whole fan base from you. I'll throw out one more I had on my list, and
Sure.
it's a team that I think has been temporarily disappointing, but I think could turn it around. I've gone for St.